Head coach of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Greg Schiano, chatting there with our buddy Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports colleague. Again, Greg Schiano, incredible turnaround last year for Rutgers team that did not win a Big Ten game before he took over. They won 3 a year ago, and also the 6 losses, 3 of them were one-score games. You see, no one brings back more production in the Big Ten than Rutgers, a team that played every game a year ago, have some big stars, including Olakunle Fatukasi, the outstanding tackling machine at linebacker, Bo Melton, tremendous wide receiver, and we are happy to be joined now by Greg Schiano, the head coach of the Scarlet Knights. And Coach, one of the most improved teams in the country last year, and the record told part of the story, but I don't think it told the whole story. I mean, the dramatic improvements you made, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, nothing short of staggering. So now the question becomes, how do you build on it?
Well, it's a great question, right? Because when you take over a program, there's a newness, there's a novelty, but now we're into it. Now we're into the real improvement stage where this isn't new anymore. But the good thing is our older players, they've really not only bought into the culture, but they own it now. And when your players own the culture and then they actually enforce the culture within your locker room, that's the beginning of what I believe is something special.
You know, there's more teams this year starting with a conference game than ever in the history of the Big Ten, and yet you go the opposite. You've got 3 non-conference games to start the season. Is there an advantage to that, or does it impact camp? How does that manage your planning?
Well, we're so new, Coach, in the process that I think we have to make sure that coming out of the gate we are going on all cylinders, right? It's going to be the first time that this team, with me as the head coach, has played in front of a crowd. So I think they're going to be really excited. They've worked extremely hard to get ready for camp. And that's what I've told them. I said, you know, all the stuff you've put into this off season is really just to get you ready to go have a great training camp, which then will give us a chance to have a great season.
Right.
And, you know, I think that the next step is going to be in a week we get to go to camp with them, and I can't wait.
I think one of the things that really stood out about your transition process with your team is the way that you've been able to recruit. And you've talked about a certain type of profile for a player and the type of people that you want in there. But can you kind of talk us through your process and how you decide which players you want to go after and how you really recruit to Rutgers?
Well, I think, you know, what I mentioned earlier in the day was I've always believed Rutgers belonged in the Big Ten. Now, it didn't happen fast enough for my liking, but eventually we got there. I was no longer the coach, but I was really excited. Now I'm super excited because I am the coach. And to be the coach at Rutgers in the Big Ten, that's a dream job to me. And why? Because, you know, our location, I think, is second to none. But maybe we didn't have that elite league and that affiliation with, you know, historic programs. Now we do. And I think what we need to do is continue to build upon what you said, and that is get the type of players that fit our program. I don't worry about who else is recruiting them. Coach Paterno taught me that a long time ago. He said, don't worry about all the ones that you don't get. Just make sure every player that you sign at your school, you're dying to coach that kid. And I feel that way right now about our guys. Sure, we're going to make some mistakes, but if we can limit that, we got a chance.
So to continue with that, you're now ranked 4th in the conference and 12th in the country for the next recruiting class. Hard work is always part of recruiting, but how has your staff gotten you there?
Well, I think it starts with our recruiting department. Eric Josephs, who leads that department, does a great job of early identification. And then our staff does a great job, I think, of building the relationship with the right guys. So the sooner we can figure out this is a Rutgers guy, then we can kind of zero in on them, laser lights on them, everybody committed to recruiting them. So we don't offer a ton of guys, you know, in this modern era where 400 or 500 guys get offered, you know, we're around that 100 spot every year because we really believe we can't effectively recruit 400 guys. That's not the way we do it. Our, if you want to call it advantage, is that personal relationship over time. We talk about building trust. That's what we're doing.
Well, on the flip side of that, you've got the most veteran team in the conference. How impactful is it to have all of that experience?
Well, certainly experience is going to help, but, you know, we haven't won a lot of games at Rutgers, so they're experienced, but haven't experienced a ton of success. That's why I thought winning some games and being competitive was so important last year. That gave our guys confidence. And I think they now believe they belong in the league. Now you got to go out every week and you got to compete. But at least we're competing, and that's the first step to me. And now we got to build on it.
I've asked most of the coaches their thoughts about the new rules in camp, the less contact than in the past. Most have said it hasn't changed much for them. What about you?
Yeah, we're the same. I think, we usually had 2 scrimmages. That's just the way I was brought up in coaching. Some of the deal, you're just going to have to be more organized with what you do in each practice. I like to be able to spread it around a little bit. Now maybe you have to concentrate it more because of the dress of the day or whatever the new rules permit. But I looked through it earlier in the summer, and I thought we were going to be fine.
Yeah, Kirk Ferentz said the one thing he would ask them to consider is the longer period of time, not necessarily contact, but maybe a longer camp.
Yeah, just an opportunity to heal, right?
Right.
For guys not to be pushed to the degree that you have to push them to get ready for that first game. But, again, I don't think it's going to be a heck of a lot different, but I'll know better probably in 30 days.
Right.
For years, it seemed like at Rutgers there was a carousel of coaches coming through, position coaches and coordinators, and now you've got some continuity on your coaching staff. How much does that mean to your players to be able to work with the same coaches year over year?
Well, I think as a player, it's hugely important, right? You get a comfort zone with your coach. You develop that relationship. Guys ask me, well, in this day and age of transfer portal, how do you really coach players hard? I think players will allow you to coach them just as hard as you care about them, right? So if they know you care about them, you can coach them hard. If they think you're using them to get to a means to an end, forget about it. So I think building those relationships, that's what it's all about. And to be able to do it year after year, you build stronger relationships.
You talk about coaching, and the offensive improvement last year was really nothing short of staggering. It was unbelievable to go from a team that scored fewer than 6 points per game in conference play the year before, which in and of itself, frankly, is staggering. But then to get to 27 a game, 3 touchdowns more per game. Sean Gleason, you raved about him heading into last year, and you were telling everyone that you were really excited to add him to your staff. Clearly did a phenomenal job. What was the key to making that dramatic of an improvement that quickly?
Well, I think there was, without a question, vertical alignment in our whole staff, but in our offensive staff with Coach Gleason and the offensive coaches. This is what we were going to do. We were going to have a Rutgers offense. And that's something that I've learned from Coach Belichick. Sean's going to be a head coach. He's a great coach. He's done a great job for us so far. But I want to make sure that when Sean moves on, we have the Rutgers offense. So you know what? We'll tweak it here, we'll tweak it there, but that's going to be what we do at Rutgers. And that's important to me. And Sean is the guy who came in and laid that foundation. Excellent young football coach, and a guy who I think can relate to players, relate to coaches, all those things.
One thing that's really a shame when you think about last year and some of the big moments that you guys had is you didn't have fans in the stands, and probably could have won a couple more if you had fans in the stands. I don't think people understand in the Big Ten, and we've had a chance to experience it in person, there is incredible appetite for success at Rutgers, and when things are going well, amazing enthusiasm in the fan base. So what's it going to mean to you this year to have fans back in the stands?
Well, I think it's huge. And I think when you talk about Rutgers, where we're located, it's an event-driven area, right? There's all these pro teams they can go watch. There's so much to do. New York City, Broadway. So if you're the event, watch out. When we were the event back when the first time we were there, it was the Jets, the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants. They were all on our sideline. It was who's who. That's where we got to get back to. We got to make Rutgers football the event.
All right, so what's the next step in doing that?
Well, you mentioned it, right? We got to continue to grow in all the areas. Offensively, we made some progress. How do we continue that progress? Defensively, we took the ball away at a really good rate. We got to make sure we do it just a little bit better. All those things. Special teams. I think we have some really special guys in the return game. Well, how do we utilize them? That's the job as coaches. We have to put these guys in position and give them a chance to go use those abilities. I'm confident we're going to, but until you do it, it's just talk.
Head coach at Rutgers, Greg Schiano, a pleasure to talk with you, and we'll look forward to watching you guys practice when we head out there in August. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you. Sounds good.
The Rutgers Scarlet Knights, a ton back from last year. Again, no team in the Big Ten returning more production than Rutgers. Pretty good at ping pong, too. Not sure that'll help in the football realm, but 3 wins last year. A team that certainly saw the arrow pointing up. And here's what's ahead for Rutgers this season. Includes 2 of the first 3 games on the Big Ten Network, taking on Temple and Delaware before entering conference play with a difficult duo, going to Michigan before hosting Ohio State. And pleased to have three of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights up here now joining me on the desk. Olakunle Fatukasi, the linebacker, Noah Vedral, and wide receiver Bo Melton. Guys, welcome. Great to have you with us. I mentioned last year, and I think before we put it in the rearview mirror, we need to put it in perspective a little bit. And we were talking about this with Coach Schiano. 3 Big Ten wins after winning 0 the year before. But also, of those 6 losses, 3 one-score games. It doesn't take a great imagination to think what this could have been for you guys last year. How do you account for this dramatic improvement? Give us a sense of what happened within this unit last year, Olakunle, that got you to that point.
I think Coach Schiano came in with a great culture, a great attitude, and we all just bought in and followed it, understood it and lived it. And we just got hit by adversity, but we didn't let that affect us how we played through the season.
How do you buy in so quickly, Noah, when you have a new system? How do guys say, yeah, this is what we're going to do, and then execute on it?
I think it starts with Coach Schiano's confidence in his staff and in the plan that he put in place, and then explaining it to us in a way that made it feel confident and effective and made it really easy that we saw start to finish what the plan was step by step, and then they were there with us all the way through, and it was proving itself as we did it.
What are some highlights of that plan, Bo? You know, people talk about, well, we executed the plan without giving away trade secrets here. What was the plan?
We just abide by our culture here, Family Trust Chop. That was the plan for us, to abide by that culture. You know, we have a good family here, and just to be able to sacrifice for our brothers every day we go out on the game field and out of practice. And then I feel like that was our plan and execution. That was the biggest way of going out there and playing with your players, playing with your family, your teammates.
Okay, so what's the next step? How do you build on the success? Because, look, 3-6 is great when you compare it to where you had been a year ago, but I know you guys want more out of this program. So what's next? How do you take that next step, Bo?
Well, the next step is just keep trusting and keep believing in our culture. And as the next step, we have to go out there and keep preparing and keep working on your craft, just as individuals, as players, to get us over that next step. So I think if we do that, it'll help us.
No, the turnaround in the offense was really remarkable. To increase the scoring output by 3 touchdowns per game in conference play, and of course they were all conference games last year, but that's staggering. It's unheard of for a team to improve that much in 1 year. What was the key for it happening? Give us a sense of why this system clicked so well for you guys on that side of the ball.
I think it starts with Coach Gleason. He did a really, really good job teaching it to us and then making it graspable and installing it in a way that made it get off the ground really quickly. And then the guys buying into it. We were able to get guys in spots where they belonged and where they were able to thrive. And I think that really helped it. And then he was able to get creative. I think Coach Gleason's a genius. He's got a great offensive mind, and we're excited to see where he'll take us this year too.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and he is creative. The trick plays, right? You guys have so many things up your sleeve. Do you get, when one of those plays is called, Bo, when you know, hey, we've got one of these things we've had up our sleeve here for a while, and we're about to put it out for the world to see, what goes through your mind?
We're on the sideline, that plays is called. It's just like, okay, let's get ready for it, going on the field, and let's execute it. A lot of plays that we run, just trying to execute them plays and make sure that we perfect it. And I think that a lot of our plays last year, especially the Indiana one that went viral for a long time, that play, we people don't believe we practiced that play a lot, and we went out there and executed it. But I know, say it was a forward pass, but it's going to be known in history for a long time. I'll tell you that.
Coach Schiano gets a ton of the credit, and obviously he should. It's amazing to think of the accomplishments that he had in his first time through at Rutgers, and then it's not too hard to extrapolate and think what this could be here as soon as this year for you guys. From your point of view, Olakunle, what makes him such a perfect fit for Rutgers? Why does he have kind of that Rutgers secret sauce?
Well, I really don't know, because he did it before. And what year he was at?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s, and he just had the perfect plan for us to get back and running. So he knew what he was doing, and he probably got way better, learned more to be a better head coach. So that's what we just bought in.
Yeah,
that's what we need to do, is just follow his lead and just buy in.
Bo, you grew up in a Rutgers family, so you know this program, you know the highs of the program, you know the lows of the program. From your point of view, is there something different about the combination of Greg Schiano and Rutgers that makes this work?
Absolutely. I feel like Coach Schiano is a very good coach. He brought like I said, a culture here, and I think that we abided by the culture a lot, and we believed in that. And with my parents being here, and my dad was actually a player when Coach Schiano was a GA, so he just told me about how he's hardworking and determined, and just to follow him and follow his lead. And I feel like as a team we took abide by that, and we followed his lead, and we saw some of the outcomes that we can get, and we try to keep going, and keep expanding on what we did last year.
How special is it to you? Again, your family has such deep ties to Rutgers. Your dad, as you said, played there. Your mom was a student athlete there. What does that mean to you to be a part of this turnaround?
It means a lot to me, being able to have that as a legacy for my family, and the things that this university has done for like a billboard in my home city, and then the stuff that they have done for me and my family is just tremendous. We're always going to keep that. You have my little brother here, Malachi Melton, goes to the school now. So all I would say is that God bless our family, and I just want to keep going and keep making my parents proud.
Olakunle, you're being mentioned very prominently as a pro prospect. What are you working on here as you look towards that, and where can you improve kind of your stock in your game this year?
Right now, I'm just working on a lot of things. I could always get better every day, but right now I'm trying to be every day a better leader. Help lead the team better. Help lead the guys right here, my football team, so we could all be great in the future. You feel me? We about to go into training camp with a great mindset. We had a great off season. It was tough though, but we're ready for training camp.
No, I think the key for you is consistency. We've seen some really great moments. The issue is, hey, how do you bring those out game in and game out? What are the biggest things you've focused on in your game to get to that point this season?
Yeah, the familiarity and being a second-year guy now, and the ability to work with Coach Gleason the second year, iron out all the details, some of the stuff maybe that I missed or didn't quite get a hold of firmly last year, I've been able to do so. And the confidence and the details that I feel that I've been able to retain over the course of the spring and the summer, I think are going to make a big difference.
Does it bum you out you don't play Nebraska?
I mean, it would be fun, but we got plenty of tough teams to play this year, and we got to focus on them.
Olakunle, this is a defense that has really caused some havoc. Last year, you guys led the Big Ten in tackles for loss. The year before, you were last in the Big Ten in tackles for loss.
Yeah,
so we talked a lot about the offensive improvement, and these guys certainly deserve the praise for that. But the havoc that you guys create, where does that come from?
First of all, it comes from Coach Schiano. Then it comes from the coaching staff, and it comes from really practice. Because Coach Schiano make a big emphasis on takeaways. Like, we need to take the ball away. Every practice we work on takeaways, and surprisingly, first game of the season, we had seven takeaways, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, because every day we work on takeaways, he make a big emphasis on it.
How do you guys define success for this team this year? Bo, I'll start with you.
We define success as just getting wins, getting more wins, and for us, really going out and practicing and just perfecting what we do. And the more we perfect stuff, the more we have better outcomes.
Noah?
I would agree with Bo, 100%. It starts with consistency. Like, with my game and with everyone across our board, as we get better and get more consistent with our games, each week we'll find better and better outcomes. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to focus each week, one-game seasons, and focus on that game all week long and let the chips fall where they may.
Olakunle, we'll give you the last word here.
Yeah, I can say the same for them. Like, every day you got to get better, be the best version of yourself every day. And one game at a time. You're worrying about that one game. You're not worrying about the future. You're not worrying about the past. Like, you're worrying about what's in that moment. That's how success works. Like, just be the best version of yourself that time.
Good thought. Anxious to see how it plays out for you guys. This has really been a good story here developing at Rutgers, and we'll see what that next step is. Guys, really a pleasure to visit with all three of you. Thanks so much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.